Good morning and welcome to the Moopsyverse, where apparently we're going to get zombies in the game shortly.
Excited.
You saw that. You were there.
I mean, I zoned out when they started talking about that because I couldn't care less about the event.
I think it's just Cat's Paw that's going to be the game this year, since they weren't able to figure out what was going wrong with the new Halloween TFO. But just think, they've got it all set for next year, so we're cool.
So they're not bringing a new one.
No, they can't make it work quite right. There's a problem. I'm not sure what the problem is, and they haven't been able to figure it out. So, they didn't go into a lot of details. Lexer's had some decent notes here, so hang on a second. Let me grab the Lexer notes. Let's see. Halloween event should begin tomorrow after maintenance. In case of troubles, it will start Thursday. Reward is a kit module summoning TOS redshirt zombies, converting kills into TOS zombies, resuscitating the player as a zombie. Zombies will have perks and skills based on the career of the dead body they were used on. Interesting. Current zombies are temporary. Their stats will be fine-tuned as the event goes on. As devs have player data. Okay. Sorry, I'm having some vision issues today. I really apologize. The modules shouldn't be used in PvP, as they will grant tons of easy kills to the enemy team, and devs said they can't change that despite that they tried. Which is great for when we have to do PvP as the universal. If it counts as a kill, that means we should be able to go in on the ground, summon zombies, everything dies, we're out of it. New dance modes will be added to the event reward reclaim store for purchases, not for free. Next event for the campaign will likely be the feast, which I think we've already had this year, but that's okay. After Halloween event and a red alert, unsure if 1 week or 2 week RAs. There should have been a new Halloween TFO, but they ran into troubles, and I missed most of what that part of the stream. Yeah, they want to replace some skeletons with TO zombies, but ran into issues. Okay. All right, so that's the date for the notes from Lexers. By the way, Lexers, I know sometimes you're on in the morning. Thank you for sending that to me. It was really helpful because I love you, Decca. Fix your microphones. Oh my God, I couldn't hear things, or other people were just overwhelming the conversation. But Suna, you need a new mic.
Loud. I have to turn down. Suna needs a new mic because she needs, I don't know, maybe charisma a little bit, because whenever she speaks, I feel like she's about to pass out. I don't know if it's like her general demeanor. I have nothing against her, but whenever she speaks, it feels like she's out of energy. Maybe it's too early, maybe it's too late. I don't know.
Yeah,
I do feel like she's just about to pass out, but I'm trying to say things, and I'm not being
it's
very loud.
Weird. Sometimes she'll come in and it's very clear she is either incredibly well trained to say what she says, or more likely she actually knows what she's saying. But you're right. Sometimes the energy it's very up and down.
I mean, I don't fault them. I understand that they might do a lot of stuff and be overwhelmed or tired or whatever. They're human beings after all. But like overall, the quality of the sound is terrible, and even rewatching someone's recording is like a pain in the rear end, because sometimes I just don't hear what they're saying, and suddenly it booms out when it turns out to the next person speaking, and I'm like, whoa, protect my ears, like, hello.
Well, there's some things they could do in their settings. One thing I'm surprised at, though, in the live stream is the horrible quality of the image when they're doing gameplay. And that's unusual, because I know...
I think it wasn't played by the person who was actually streaming. It was played by someone else, and that was transmitted through Discord into stream. So
don't do that, guys.
That diminishes quality. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of professional.
It's probably in 720p max. So
yeah,
anyway.
It is. So it just comes across as like some of my really bad videos. I've been starting
to... it all comes down how they're actually setting up their material. I think they should not be using Discord to stream the game, because it will automatically diminish the quality. Secondary, I think that the stream should be... I mean, we could do with lower frame rate camera movement and high quality of the gameplay that they're actually showing, rather than the other way around.
Well, I stream in Discord. Is the visuals for the game in Discord that bad for us? Hang on a second.
Well,
I
if
got
you
full
don't have
screen.
Nitro, you will be streaming at 720p, and that depending on your latency and how your network works and how the receptors network works.
I don't
The
do Nitro,
quality
but I
of that
think the
is gonna be
quality that I've got is
increased.
definitely better. Let me just try what happens when I go into
Well,
movement.
it also depends of the software you're using to capture. Like, if you're streaming your game into Discord and that image from Discord is captured into a stream on Twitch, quality will be double decreased because it's just not going to capture every single frame correctly, and it's just going to diminish the quality overall. So I think that's just
Well,
having an incorrect approach.
one thing I've been doing is playing the game in render scale 3. Render scale 4 gets kind of chunky. It's got
I'm
issues.
not even increasing past 1 unless I'm making pictures. So okay.
Well, because I've been recording stuff for a project for Dante, so I've just gone to a default of render scale 3. Render scale
Should not be default.
default for me
it'll be
for my recording is render scale 3. I go in and manually set it. But when I go to render...
It's unhealthy for a computer to run in anything above render scale 2.
Yeah, but it does look better. So if I go into render scale 4, I get some real issues. You can see her movement. While the detail is better, my computer's struggling to make this look right. It's giving up on a little bit of the detail.
That's because you're forcing it to...
Right. I'm fully aware of what I'm making it do.
Like multiple increased resolution. So.
Right. So in render scale 1, movement's a lot better. But then you give up some of the detail, which I suppose for the show, doesn't make any difference. But when I'm recording for doing these videos, it does make a difference. And you can really see what a big difference it does. But 4 looks great until you try and move. I mean, just for stills, it's amazing. For gameplay, kind of sucks. Yeah. Of course, everything looks terrible today. Like I said, I woke up and my vision is way off, which is why we started late. I thought it was just that my glasses were bad, but went downstairs, washed my glasses, and now it's clear through my glasses and still terrible vision today.
Boy.
Yeah, the joy of getting older tends to create a vacuum. Yeah, anyway, so I've got... not a lot. We do have a patch coming up, and we have the current event wrapping up in about 9 hours. And so, if you need to run the event today, folks, you got till 3 o'clock, but there is a patch, and the patch will have new stuff coming in, which means it could run late. Other than that, I really don't have anything on this tune. I've got Repair Hall in Space, so I suppose we could do that, and then I can see what else is going on.
Render scale 2 renders the game instead of 920p, 1920 by 1080p, renders it in 3840 by 2160, and that's render scale 2.
Okay.
So that's doubled when you do render scale 3.
Yeah.
And that one, the next output is doubled when you go to 4. So...
Well, my tune can...
taxing on the computer.
It is, yeah, and I can hear it. But if I have nothing else running, it's not bad. When I start doing that with other things, it's... I can hear it grinding. Poor thing. Let's see.
Not shot. My goodness, I've been blessed today. All of the endeavors in space.
They're giving you things to do today?
Wow.
Well, this says I have this done. But I'm not seeing it here. Interesting. Maybe I turn that in? Thursday Daily, it says this tune did the Thursday Daily. But it's not coming up as being done. Okay, maybe I didn't do it. Maybe I turned it in. Let's see. I guess oh, there. All that matter. I did it and turned it in yesterday. Oh, well. Oh, that's what I did. Okay. So I apparently did All That Matter on this tune a long time ago, like 6-7 days ago. Oops. Oopsie. Let's see if I did anything else there. Oh, so I've been talking about going to see Electric Callboy in Dallas. Turns out they've hired 2 bands as the early bands. One of them is the worst band I've ever heard in my life. The woman is rude, offensive, and blatantly man-hating. And I'm going to let my friends know that, hey, I'm happy to meet you there, but I am not going to go stand in there and listen to her. I'll wait till her set's done and then we can go in. But there's no way I'm going to go in. And I have no idea why they hired her. They had her there with baby metal, too. So we have great bands with this garbage. Well, okay. I suppose if you have a really garbage band leading into it, you're going to sound all the better. But, just awful.
I don't have anything intelligent to say about that.
Well, we used to go to a lot of concerts, my son and I, and almost always the warm-up groups were garbage. And in comparison, then the other groups sound great. But we've learned from that, don't be in a hurry, especially if there's assigned seats. You can come in later. You don't have to stand as long of lines. And if you don't really care about them, don't worry about it. Though when we went to see Metallica, Godsmack was the warm-up band. And it's like, wow, Godsmack, Metallica, woo! Great concert night. This was a long time ago. A long, long time ago. My son must have been like
nothing about metal music. Outside of that, I know it exists. I don't fancy.
Godsmack and Metallica I would not describe as metal. Maybe more grunge.
Them something of my venue anyway, so it doesn't matter.
So this is when Metallica was just at its highest, and getting tickets was really difficult and really expensive, but somebody I was working with had access to them, so we got them at a good price. So I got one for me, my son, and for his best friend who loved Metallica, and then showed up in goth clothing and makeup, and we're just like, trying too hard there, dear? I mean, for a 13-year-old, that was a little silly. But anyway, what the heck? Fine.
Also, an interesting, I would do video analysis, an history of Soviet housing and how it actually worked and how that was introduced and what were the changes on it. I had a notion because obviously I grew up in a Soviet neighborhood, so housing is familiar to me from the experience, but I didn't know how it evolved through history because I never researched it. It was really a fascinating 20 minutes of my day.
Was it really fascinating? Did you enjoy it?
It was. I enjoyed it.
I thought you were being facetious.
No, I wasn't. I mean, because, you grew up in this and you kind of like... the architecture style, right? You've seen
Yep, absolutely.
One concrete building made out of prefabricates. You've seen them all, but I didn't know how they evolved over history and how that chain of thought originated and evolved in within the USSR and how it spawned all over the Soviet-controlled satellite countries as well. Because I live in a neighborhood. I live in a building from like an early 80s, which was literally following one of those tropes. So it literally was built in this very same philosophy, very same pre-concept and execution as it was over there. And I had absolutely no idea how that evolved from the 1930s, 1920s, 30s with Lenin still being at the helm, and how it changed during Stalin's time, and then onwards with Khrushchev and the other leaders, and then each of them introduced something new, something different to the general housing. And people might hate on socialism, but let's just say that most of those apartments built in those days are still standing and they're still fine. Meanwhile, modern buildings, modern architecture isn't actually standing the test of time within a decade.
Wow.
Because they are cracking, breaking, they're super expensive, they're built hastily, they're not being thought through properly, they're not being, they don't even let the foundations to sit down properly, because they immediately build upon them, even though they need some time to they need to settle in the ground, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
supposedly, if you're building a new thing, you can't just put foundations, let the surface of the thing dry, and build a top. But they're really
Okay. That
rushing
that does make a lot of
because
sense.
they do rush, and like they did kind of rush over that back then as well. But they had prefabricates that did not need like building brick by brick. Everything was built in a factory, then brought into the site and assembled on site like Legos, or like IKEA. Honestly, despite all the shortcomings, like sometimes thin walls, sometimes not necessarily spacious environments. At least you had an entire neighborhood built. And it's funny how that philosophy is still working today. Because when they built those neighborhoods, they were compacted into like smaller chunks, and they had everything on site. You had a school, you had a preschool or a kindergarten, you had a few stores, you had a doctor's office. Everything was condensed within a neighborhood. You did not need to go to the city center to actually get anything. You could live without a car, although if you afforded it, you could get a car. But still, like there was no need for you to really travel far because you had everything from start to finish uh, on your neighborhood, and that was like really within the walking distance. And I still live that kind of philosophy, even though the Soviet Russia died, and we're no longer a communist country. Those neighborhoods still function the same way as they were thought of and thought about 50 years ago. And that's really fascinating that kind of drives my life today, because I don't need to worry about going to the store and that's gonna be a trip, because I've got 3 stores in the vicinity of 3 minutes from my building.
Wow.
I leave the building and I'm in the store. One a German store, then the second German store. I mean, it's just chain. Like you have Walmart. You have it everywhere. They're all over the country. You have them everywhere. But they have everything from bread to clothing. You don't have to really go far to go into a doctor's office, because they usually are like some of the buildings, like in my neighborhood, are like built in the way that the bottom, the ground floor, is not habitable, because it's been designed from the very get-go to be some sort of service offices or like service spaces. So like stores, we have a barber shop at the bottom of like in one of the corners. We have a dentist on the other one. There's a huge chunk that is dedicated to a local doctor's office, which literally means I have my doctor in my building. I just leave through the main entrance, and I just turn around the corner and I go into the doctor's office, and I can get any appointment. So I don't really have to go far anywhere to get my bare necessities on a daily basis. The bakery's right around the corner.
It's
They have
actually
a veterinarian in the neighboring building.
That's pretty cool. Hang on, I'm going to go into sphere of influence. You can decline it if that pops up for you. I
Yeah,
just
I
want.
saw that.
Okay.
No worries.
I'm just going down to get some ground stuff. It's interesting you say that, because when I was in college, which admittedly was a while ago, we did in our sociology class a bit of a study on American housing in, well, I won't say the slums, but in poor neighborhoods, where they were trying to address the fact that they had a lot of people living in cheap housing in a limited amount of space. And while the housing is there, they miss some of the basics, like, as you're just describing, not any access. There's no food nearby. There's no clothing nearby. There's no services nearby. And then they also learned later, a lot later, that for a successful housing, you also have to have some level of community. You have to have some level of open space. And they missed on both of those.
We have everything.
Yeah.
Greenery, parks.
Yeah, no, those are important. So then they did the stupid thing. They're like, oh, well, we need greenery parks. So they would, and, kid area. So they would put in a rudimentary small green space in the center. And, okay, well, that qualifies. It's 30 by 30. It's got a tree. It's got some grass, and it's got a swing set. That's enough.
It's a checkbox. Yeah.
It's not. Hi, Ho-Hell.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Hohel says hugs. I could be wrong, but I heard that to buy a car in Russia, you'd have to order it early. Commonly, grandparents will order a car for grandchild being conceived. FYI, it takes 20 to 30 years to get the car you ordered, so I heard. I don't know if that's true anymore, but I can...
It was never a thing you would wait 30 years for a car.
That,
Not even an apartment. Like, you know... I don't know about Russia, but I think the Soviet mentality was pretty much the same everywhere. The general consensus and idea of it was like, because it was a socialistic concept, right? Of course, idealistically, socialism completely roots out any class differential, so everyone is equal. Whether you're like a public official, you're a doctor, or just a normal, I don't know, factory worker, you're expected to get the same sort of quality assets like housing, food access, clothing access, I don't know, wardrobe access, all the stuff that is the bare minimum for a functioning individual or a family. You would have them on the same equal basis. Of course, unfortunately, since Stalin took over, classes have been reintroduced, and well, that started with housing and everything else, but technically everything was provided by the state because everything was claimed by the state. So if there was a private apartment block that was just like for a private family, that was nationalized, and they might have been given like a chunk, like a few rooms to stay there. The rest of it was distributed to common folk, meaning that, you know, people would just report themselves in that they're waiting for an apartment, and they would have a wait list, and they would be put on the wait list. And when an apartment was either built, constructed, or released because someone moved somewhere else or whatever, you would be provided that according to the line. Of course, if you knew someone.
Yeah, exactly.
Installed.
It looks like historically
bumped in the line.
That was similar to cars, but no, while it could take years, depending on where you were.
Not 20, 30, definitely not.
Yeah, but it would depend on your status, the availability of the car, and obviously there'd be a waiting list. But if you had high enough status, and the car was available, you could get it in a matter of days.
Yeah, it really depended where you were geographically. What was the justification, or how long you were on the wait list, etc. So there were many factors that affected it. But yeah, 20, 30 years, you weren't even like, you could wait maybe 5 to 10 years for an apartment, but not for a car. And it still would be like still, you would get an apartment you could live in for the rest of your lifetime, usually.
Yeah.
And when the transformation came in the 90s, and, you know, the logistics and paperwork around those flats and houses and those apartment buildings were settled, people could buy them cheaply. So you could really just... You could be born into an apartment you could own by, like, at the age of 30 maybe, because your parents would have paid it off, and you could literally just inherit it after them, so you would never move out. And it's still happening on cases. So yeah, despite everything, the shortcomings of the Soviet system, at the very least, you could be granted that you will get a housing. Right now, there's like no social housing at all. Like 100% of like housing market right now is the new houses that are being built, like new flats and apartment. I mean, houses privately, if they're built on the plot, they're just private. But when it comes to like apartment blocks, that is also done by private investors, and that is also private. There is like, the country doesn't actually build houses anymore because they can't afford it, and the economy is different. But they are thinking about it because it is becoming a crisis, and the prices are rising like everywhere else. So I posted the link to that YouTube thing I watched. I find it fascinating because it has visualization. It gives you already immediate idea how that looked in practicality. Has a lot of archived footage from the period and from the areas. So it's very comprehensive for a 20-minute analysis, which is, you know, not getting into political context of like whether or not Soviet housing was good or bad, but it's just telling how it worked historically, how that evolved, what was the practicality of it, how that looked in real life. I find that kind of analysis impartial, not being judgmental, just telling you how that worked. I really like it. And it's a fresh thing. It came out a month ago, so I really
Well, I put
thought
it
it was older.
up on my other channel, so when I'm done here, we'll go and watch that. In the meantime, would you like to do some spacey pew-pew and shoot down things?
I've got a lot of it actually, because I've got Tzenkethi ships in space, I need a Borg TFO, and I need destructible torpedoes.
Well, we can do 2 of those, so how about we do a Tzenkethi front? Does that work for you, for your Tzenkethi ships?
Yeah, it's just 10, but yeah, I think that's
Gets us a start to the day. Weeboo?
Wow, that was fast. Yes, indeed, a weeboo.
They were waiting for us. They'd all been listening to
Clearly.
us talking about housing in the Soviet Union and Poland, and they're like, okay, now we can go shoot things.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to give the channel a look, because that was just when I recommended, and I was like, ooh, that's interesting. I want to give it a look.
The nice thing about YouTube is people can put up interesting topics with basically no cost involved other than their own time and research. So, yeah, they can be super interesting.
They've done the proper research on it. People have been like complaining in comments about, oh, but the Tsar Nikolai didn't step down. Well, he kind of did step down. It was just a year of tumult, and then the Russian Revolution started. But this is not about the French Revolution, the Russian Revolution. It's about housing in the Soviet Russia. So it was just an introduction. No one needs to get into semantics and like.
Well, the whole thing about the.
There is a lot. Like you could write 17-page essay on what were the reasons that led to the Russian Revolution.
Oh no, hundreds of books are written on that one.
Yeah, but yeah, like alone as an introduction, but that's not about it, right? It's.
Did you grab that one?
My little tiny ship has got a bomb.
Hey, I got it last night with a teeny tiny little ship, so I can get in there and see if I can do some pew-pew for you.
Try to use my drones, because I do have pets.
This ship is feeling very ineffective today. She may need a reworking.
Well, I'm going through some of the ships I really liked flying, including this one. I just kind of refurbished its build.
I was working on getting all my ships leveled up and done and all that stuff. But Christmas is coming. I have 2 big projects that need to get done, so they are my priority for right now. I think everything's dead if you want to blow that up. You still have a bomb?
It's already blown up. It's
blown up? Okay. It's still sitting there, so I didn't know it was blown up. That's one thing I'd love to see it fixed in this one.
Come back. It blew up and then came back. I don't really know why they can't just address that.
They can. It's just not a high priority. Since in other missions, things that blow up stay blowed up.
I know. It's weird why it can't be here.
Yeah.
Yesterday I had to run this after, like in the evening.
Yeah, we ran it last night too, and it was.
I kept having bombs disappear on me, and other people also said that they had that. So this bug is coming back.
It is a glitch that happens, but it doesn't happen every single time, which makes it a lot harder.
It's intermittent. There isn't like a common moment where it actually happens all the time, or like it's just weird. I really just felt a longing to like play with the simulator today, so here we are. Maybe assimilated.
Go shoot that one if you want to grab a bomb there. Okay, fine, I'll go grab a bomb then. It's just back there sitting there all lonely. There we go.
I have my camera turned away.
I have a bomb. Oh, there's only 2 bases left. Okay. Yep, there we go.
Okay, so these 2 are left.
Are we both going to the same one? Looks like it, yes.
Not that
I'm on your right.
Where's the other one? It's at the bottom? Did we destroy that one?
Yeah, head down there. Okay, we all have bombs. That's great. There we go.
Let's kill ourselves a dreadnought. Just a funny name, Dreadnought. So should I not dread it that it's coming? What?
Alright, so that's blowed up real good. Let's get the... Oh, the dreadnought's dead too. Yay.
Just managed to kill the others, so... Yeah,
That was pretty efficient.
I know. The drones on my ship are very happy. I like that they've updated the assimilator to actually be able to mimic any kind of Borg you encounter in the game. You can be just a standard Borg, you can be the Borg cooperative that, you know, has the blue lights. You can be the control Borg, you can be the Borg kingdom. I would like that you can just make it look whatever you like.
Well, since you are asking, the etymology of the word dreadnought comes from the phrase, I dread nothing, and it was a specific ship name.
Yeah.
It was the name of a ship. It was the dreadnought, I fear nothing, and became generic after that. This dates back to late 1500s.
1500?
Yes.
Wow.
The ship in the Royal Navy in 1596 was named Dreadnought. So that's interesting. Speaking of interesting channels, there is a anthropologist, I think primarily anthropologist, named Milo Rossi, who does 2 or 3 YouTube channels, but one is Mini Minuteman, and he goes back and looks at really interesting things in anthropological history. So he's been to a couple of digs in Turkey, but recently he did one on tattoos on mummies. You know, so the history of tattooing and how far back it goes. Super
some
interesting.
of them actually fade out in infrared to find them, but
Yeah.
they're still there.
Yeah, they are rare. And so there's a tattoo guy who was also an anthropologist who wanted to try and figure out how they did tattooing way back when, before they had basically little tiny ones. So he practiced on tattooing himself with different techniques to see which ones looked like the tattoos, because there was a thought that they were doing small incisions with like knives and then, you know, pushing in either the powdered charcoal or other agents to do the dyeing. And turns out, no, it's much closer to the needle approach that we use now. The tattooing with knives actually works really great, but you get really sharp, clear lines, and that's not what they were seeing. So, cool. Oh, yeah. Oh, hell, watch that, yeah. I love Mini Minuteman. He does weird stuff. There's a whole thing on the the vampire burials in Europe. And then he does some really weird ones when he's clearly been smoking with his friends that are like, yeah, no, that's not my cup of tea, thank you. But some of them are absolutely great. Can't have consistent winners with anything. I totally get that. Oh, I got some of my repair hull in space. Woo! You said you needed a Borgy one, too. Good morning, Ray. How are you doing?
I do need a Borg TFO.
You did say that, yes. I'm going to do a Borg TFO for us. And you need the destructible torps, right?
That would be cool, so...
Okay, can we get that out of infected conduit?
I did that last time. I just need 3 destructible torps, so I think infected could do it.
Okay.
Well, here's hoping, anyway.
We are queued for a wee-woo. Well, if not, we'll just queue up and do Crystalline Catastrophe as a private. And you'll get your torps there.
Yeah, sure.
But you have to do a Borg TFO anyway, so we'll do that one. Yeah, oh hell. I want to get a tattoo, except one. I haven't found the artwork I want. I know exactly what I want. And then I have to find somebody who can do it. So we are currently going through a government shutdown as the government is moaning and groaning internally, going, no, it's your problem, no, it's your problem, yeah. Well, I'm not going to show up. Wee-woo.
Yep.
Which I realize this is an oversimplification, but I got a email from Social Security yesterday going, hey, because you're old enough, you can be filing for Soc, but all the offices are closing down, but we're still doing everything online, so here's how you do it, which was very interesting. Yeah, darn that work stuff, Ray. Darn it. So I wound up spending like an hour yesterday playing with Social Security Online, which, by the way, they have an amazingly good website.
That made me laugh.
Yeah.
So apparently, Adam Driver had a vision, an idea for like a Star Wars film, and where
Okay.
Ben Solo, Hunt for Ben Solo, basically, it was supposed to happen after Episode 9, about like finding what happened to Ben Solo, because he was only, according to the idea, it was just presumed dead, and like Disney said, no, Ben Solo's dead, so they decided to do it.
Yeah, Disney is seriously talking about kind of disavowing those last 3 movies.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they don't want to like touch that, because I think it's still a painful set of movies for a lot of people, so I don't think touching any of those. I'm not sure even if that
the Ray movies kind of sounds like it's not going to happen. Right. The Daisy Ridley one, yeah. It was all like, we're going to go do this.
I'm just sorry for her, because she was kind of used just as a plot device, but still, unfortunately, still a Mary Sue character.
Yeah. So. And as an actress, she's okay. I mean, she's not stunning, but she's not horrible either.
She's a fine actress, yeah.
I would say she's fine.
And like, I've seen her in some other stuff, and she's okay. Like as an actress, she does a good job as a professional. It's just like she just happened to stumble upon a project that kind of puts a stain on you, and I'm glad that she managed to do other things outside of Star Wars. That's. The stigma around being a Star Wars princess, or like Star Wars main character or protagonist, can really just ruin your career. Because then suddenly people don't want to approach you. You're kind of being labeled. So I'm glad that she's still doing other things and still acting and up and about. But like, yeah, I'm sorry for her, because those were not the best movies to actually start your career off. No, sorry.
In a similar but not similar vein.
I'm just laughing at I just finished my thread of thought. I laugh because someone said, the best character in the franchise. Like, really, Ben Solo?
Oh, no.
I'm sorry, I have a villain grandfather. I'm just gonna get a grandfather complex. Like, what? I'm sorry, no. He was not the best character in the franchise. I mean, I can't say anyone was a good character in the entire trilogy, but...
Good morning, Mr. Dave.
Ben Solo was not one of them.
So, I was watching the Crash and Burn series, if you have seen those, from Critical Drinker. He goes back and looks at relatively recent actors, actresses, directors, writers, things like that, who were all that in a bag of chips, and then after their big project came out, kind of where everybody's avoiding them, like Brie Larson and Waika Waititi. They do really well, and then they just fail, and nobody wants to touch them anymore, which, it's got to be tough. But they were doing Rachel Zegler, and going through it and watching him analyze her acting, not on a personal level, not anything about, the disaster of the PR and all that. And it was really interesting to watch the analysis of her as an actress. But what surprised me is he went on to do Emma Watson from Harry Potter. And showed that as an actress, she's actually quite good.
But people still kind of like label her as a little girl from the Harry Potter series.
Apparently, she's done a lot of stuff since then, but she's been going into smaller, more private things. So, she can actually be an actress and not be whatever her name was, Hermione. Which I thought was interesting. Hers wasn't so much the crash and burn, but how to stay relevant in the field. She had to go into stuff that wasn't big name anymore.
I mean, the same thing came with Daniel Radcliffe. I think he was lucky because he managed to actually escape the Harry Potter.
Yeah, and he's done
a
some
bit to a degree. Because he's done some high-profile stuff, and ever since then, he's kind of like, people still see him as Harry Potter because, well, to be honest, people saw him everywhere on posters and trailers and TV and in movie trailers at the theater, even before a different movie. You just saw him everywhere. So,
that's got to be tough.
That's especially that you started as a kid, but again, child actors were always a thing, so it's not new. I did see a recent addition to the Hot Ones interviews list with Macaulay Culkin. I love how his career turned around. Like, his life turned around. I love how a lot of stuff he still remembers from the first two Home Alone movies and all the other stuff that he's done. And he completely impressed me by his ability to be perfectly composed, even though you think the most spiciest sauces in the universe.
Let's see.
I like that formula.
I'm not quite sure what you're saying there, Mr. Dave. It says Emma Go TV, not political. Ian Hohel says Emma was one of the professional actors, the most professional actors of all the children actors in Harry Potter. Oh yeah, she did a fine job, no question about that. Actually, I think they all did a fine job. For kids who are getting pulled into what's going to be an incredibly big franchise, I think they did a great job.
Apparently they're going to stigmatize more kids with that because they're making that stupid, unnecessary, redundant TV series.
Yeah, but we don't have to watch it. That's the cool part.
Shooting. Yeah, at least it's not going to be showed into... I mean, it's going to be still in posters.
Oh, Mr. Dave says Emma went political. Yes, I did read that, but a lot of actors think that being an actor makes them relevant for politics. Your opinion is certainly relevant. Just it's not more relevant because you're an actor.
Worthy to say, that's fine, but a lot of actors just open their mouth because I have an audience, so therefore I will open my mouth and have an opinion about it, even though that opinion is kind of like, you should have stayed quiet.
Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and do something I don't usually do. I have Googled Macaulay Culkin, and I'm just curious, going through this, do we have a thing here? Okay. Huh, that's interesting. Awards, nominations, I'd like to see. Bibliography. We'll go to IMDb. Let's go back.
He started like in 1991 or something like it.
I want to see what he has done that I have actually seen. Okay. Oh my gosh, he was in The Equalizer in 1988. I happen to love The Equalizer, so I'm sure I saw that. I saw My Girl. I saw The Page Master, though that doesn't really count. Okay, out of his... As an actor, he was in 51 projects. I saw 3 of them.
Okay.
So, not somebody I really know much about, but I guess he's done stuff... Let's see, Zootopia 2, he's coming out again as a voice.
It's just dubbing gig, right. But yeah.
Well,
the thing is that there was, as far as I know, I don't want to give it to gossip or stuff, but he had some issues on the way as a child actor, but wow, Wikipedia page is kind of like full of stuff. But yeah, he had some. He refrains from disclosing his personal life.
Ho-Hell says
family life.
the only other kid that had acting experience was the Longbottom character, but he died, unfortunately. You might want to let him know that, because according to everything else, he's still alive. Still acting. Let's see. Yeah, no, he's still alive. But I liked him. I thought he was a fun actor.
You mean the Matthew Lewis?
Yeah.
No, he's
still alive. I just Googled him.
I mean, there was an actor that died.
Yes,
but
yeah.
That wasn't him.
Right, there was another actor who died. Obviously, Hagrid died, which is a bummer.
But yeah. He's now 36.
Yeah.
Wow, he was the kid with these huge teeth at the front, and now he looks kind of hot.
He looks good, yes. Young, but good. Where are we at? Well, I will do that one later. Did we get everything you needed for your endeavors?
Actually, I've completed all of them in one go.
Snape died, yeah. Unfortunately, Snape died. Man, he was such a good actor.
Yeah. Have you ever seen Perfume, The Story of a Murderer?
No, I haven't.
Oh, such a good movie. Bringing me to tears, it gives me feelings. It's a hard movie. From an actor's perspective, it's so hard to play because you can't convey smells on the screen.
Yeah.
And this is all about a guy who's obsessive about smells and is trying to create an ultimate smell. And the casting of that film is one of the most insane. It's a German movie, actually, but it's
I see it here.
But like, and it has it's one of the latest roles by the actor that played Snape in
Alan
Harry
Rickman.
Potter.
Yeah.
Alan Rickman, yeah. And I just love him there. He was just like, oh my god. But everyone in that film is great. The costumes were amazing. The music is probably one of the best soundtracks I've heard in my life. And it has moments that it's just like, there is a moment in that movie when it's just like, what the hell is happening? But the music is making you watch it and you are hypnotized. It's just such a good film. Such an underrated film because it wasn't Hollywood production. It was just like, oh, it's a German film, so we're not going to promote it too much.
Yeah, sometimes that
it
works
was
really
based
well.
on a book. It was based on a book by, I think it's a German or maybe a Dutch author of the same title, and it was a big hit when the book hit the shelves. But like the film, so good. I would recommend it mostly because the main protagonist is the main character is played by a wonderful actor who I know from a lot of things, but yeah. It also had Dustin Hoffman out of all the people as well.
Dustin Hoffman does a lot of really interesting stuff. Alan Rickman and probably did quite a few of these little tiny videos where he would recite poetry, and it's just so amazing to watch him just sit there and recite. And it's just like, if you have seen Sense and Sensibility when he's reading to, I can't remember the other character's name, it's just one of those moments when you can tell what a great actor he is. Hi, Cliff. I liked Rickman in the V-Love movie. The V-Love movie. He was in so much stuff. And of course, he was in Die Hard and Sense and Sensibility and so many things. Galaxy Quest. Oh my gosh, Galaxy Quest was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so unusual for him to like be in such a thing, but he did, because I don't remember him doing science fiction in general. But like, yeah, Galaxy Quest was such a good one.
It's so funny because I was looking at something else the other day, and in my feed it came up with Patrick Stewart talking about Galaxy Quest, which he did not want to go see because he thought they were making fun of Star Trek. And then Jonathan Frakes called him and said, "Hey, you gotta go see this movie. It's great." And he's like, "Yeah, they're making fun." He goes, "No, no, no. Go see it. Go see it in the theater." And he realized that it was actually a love letter to Star Trek nerds.
Actually, the drop at the end of Die Hard.
Yeah.
Probably heard it when he's being dropped
Mm-hmm.
at the end. Well, behind the scenes, his expression that he makes when he's being dropped is actually his authentic expression. Rickman was reportedly afraid of heights.
Oh, God.
So he was extremely uncomfortable by the concept of being dropped in general, even though there were like pillows and then like sort of mattresses and everything, as everything was fully secured.
Mm-hmm.
But they had a deal that they're gonna drop him at the count of 3, and they dropped him at the count of 1. He didn't know about it. So his expression as the camera shows him dropping is authentic. His shocked face. You did not. That was amazing.
I love it when something happens to an actor they're not expecting like that, and they don't break character.
Yeah, and he didn't break the character,
Yeah.
even though it's like, you could almost say, you did not do this, but like, he still stays composed, that he's like falling in that slow-mo. That was such a great thing. But I've read today about another shocking moment prepared for the actors. You remember Goonies, right?
No.
Goonies?
Nope. Never saw it.
You never saw it? Oh
Nope.
my God.
I know. I could go through pages of things that everybody has seen except me.
1985. I mean, I didn't see Godfather to this day
Okay,
because
but
I hate mafia theme, so I never touched it. But still, Goonies was a big childhood film. Everyone probably.
it was a little bit before my son was born, so.
You wouldn't go to see it.
Yeah, I was.
Born, he would still not get it. Yeah, I guess.
Right at that point, I was working. What was I doing at that point? I was working in the bridal industry, I think, so I was probably working... I was working 2 jobs, that's why. Bridal industry and something else, so I was working like 60, 70 hours a week, and watching movies was not on the list of things I was doing.
Hey, they're making Goonies too? What the hell?
Cliff says, "Buy Grabthar's hammer. What a savings." Yeah, really, I'd remember that line.
Well, generally Goonies is about kids finding a treasure of a lost galleon, or a ship or some sorts, a pirate ship. And it was based on an actual ship in reality that was actually lost and unfound, reportedly until 2022, when it was actually discovered very near the location where they were actually shooting scenery shots of that film, which is kind of ironic. But there was they rebuilt an entire Spanish, I think it was a galleon, I'm not exactly sure. But the ship was built 1-to-1 in full scale in the studio in a pool in water. And there is a scene where the kids find it. And it's all about like a group of kids. So they're like maybe 8, 10, maybe 13 years of age. So they're all like kids trying to, like, going on an adventure, kind of Indiana Jones kind of style. And when they find it, they kept the construction of the ship as a secret from the kids, and they wanted the authentic wow kind of moment. They ruined it because the kids were swearing in the first shot, so they had to reshoot it. One of the kids said "Holy F," and unfortunately they had to cut and reshoot the entire scene, so their gasp is not authentic, unfortunately. Kid actors, right?
Yeah.
They kind of get away with a lot of stuff that normal kids wouldn't get away with, because everyone would tell you language. But like every kid on set, you've seen it all. Like actors were swearing in front of you in the scene, so like how are you gonna function like keeping your language as a child actor, right? So obviously, like one of the kids was just shut out. Holy, and it was
Holy moly!
Yeah, and they had to cut it, and like yeah. They were working so hard, they actually let the kids to the backstage on that day when they were shooting that scene. They were supposed to be coming to the set, turned around. They made sure that they didn't see it until it was ready. You're supposed to submerge, turn around, get out of the water and see it. It was like, and they ruined it. So funny.
Shall we do one last one before I head out to real life today?
Yeah, I can spew death and destruction.
What you want to do?
I mean, what?
Oh, don't forget,
No, I haven't done
Universal coming out today is Gravity Kills. Which one did you want, Jupiter?
Jupiter Rattles. I've been trying to queue it past alone, but it's just not coming.
Okay, I've got it queued. Let's see if it pops for us. Oh, hang on. Cliff is logged in. Let's grab him.
Alright.
Clear that queue real quick here. There you go,
God,
Cliff.
why did they have to? Why couldn't they wait with the release of Omega by a week? I really like the chain of thought about the ship that we were talking about yesterday. The guys that wrote the comic.
Yeah, I just hate the fact that I appreciate that they went in and appreciated that the burn is not something that a lot of people like, but we can't do it in Star Trek Online because it will ruin the mechanic for everything. What does
no one's trying to? It's just like they're bringing up the ship so people can have their space Barbie, and that's fine.
Mr. David says, "What does I'm ablimin me?" I don't know what that is. Me either. All right, let's queue up Jupiter one more time here and see what happens now that we have a proper party. We are queued for that one. Ablimin. Ablimin? I don't know that, Mr. Dave.
Unless it's a name of something, I've never heard of it. But I don't know all the words in English.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm admin. That could be. I'm albumin, meaning you're an egg white.
Oh, Sam Witwer's having his birthday today.
Who's having a birthday?
Actually, no, it was 2 days ago. Sam Witwer.
Oh!
Why do I see this post today? It was supposed to be... No.
Yeah, that's the way my posts go.
I hate social media because when I want to see something on the date when it happened, I see it 3 days later, or like 2 days later, or a week later. And I'm like, hello, where was this when I was actually scrolling all that day? My God, he's 48 years old. Somewhat where he's an actor who often... if you played any Star Wars game, he was Darth Sidious. For the past at least a decade or so, or 2 decades actually now, he's been dubbing Darth Sidious, yes. He's doing Darth Maul.
He does quite a bit. The I'm ablimin comment was, Mr. Dave says that you said, and by the way, that was Chris, not Cliff, but Goonies is probably one of the most ablimin films of the 80s. It's highly recommended.
In Amblin, I think, because it's Spielberg's film company that probably did that.
Yeah, but it's something you said.
I did?
Yeah, and probably
I never said that word.
Wait, no, probably the mic does what it likes to do and just this word.
I would never use that in the...
No, you might have said something similar to it that messed it up.
It was never intention to say
right, no, Chris. So. Think about you said Goonies is probably one of the most famous films of the 80s. There was a word you used in there. Oh, weeboo?
Maybe I said probably, but it's just maybe garbled. Yeah,
it got garbled, I'm sure. That's not what I wanted. Why did I go down there? What the heck?
What did you do?
I wound up going down to Sphere of Influence. I don't know why it did that. Well, this should be interesting. Let's see if it launches me with you guys. Did you launch already? No.
No, it's still waiting.
I'm just going to stay here then for a second. I wonder if I double-clicked on something. Oh, Amblin.
You might have clicked that first.
Maybe it was Amblin, but
I never said Amblin.
I didn't think you did either. No problem. I have no idea. Oh, there we go. All right.
Well, at least you clicked the wee woo.
I clicked the correct wee woo. And now we have 1 minute. I will be back just after we launch. 1 moment.
E minus 5 seconds.
And I managed to get my headphone wrapped around the arm of my desk. That means it's going to get undone. I'm back.
Just FYI, you weren't muted, so I heard you speak something.
Yeah, I didn't think I was muted. My headphone cable was wrapped around my leg of my chair. And as soon as I moved, it ripped my headphones off, and so I was trying to fix that. Always fun when everything goes wrong in the morning.
It's a dreadful day at work today. We're just short-staffed on my vertical to a degree that I'm carrying almost half the vertical right now.
Is somebody on vacation?
One person is on sick leave, one is on vacation. Our boss is gone, and I don't know why she was supposed to return today, but she's still offline. And yeah, we just like... We also had one person transition to a different department a little bit, so like, yeah. Fun times. I wanna shut down the computer.
Well, let's see, we got somebody at Alpha, that's you. Got somebody here at Gamma. I'm heading over to... Oh, sorry, we have somebody at Beta. I'm heading to Gamma. But yes, today's Universal is indeed Gravity Kills.
I must be ecstatic.
I'm sure she is. What is Mr. Spielberg up to these days? That is a good question.
Being rich and obscenely wealthy?
He's actually been, from what I remember, was working on some smaller projects. Since some of his bigger
director of film of the most high-profile films in the
what I think people forget is he also does a lot of smaller things things that just don't go particularly well. But he's more willing to put money and effort into trying different things.
Actually, I haven't heard about him in a while. Low profile, probably.
Yeah. We could Google him.
I would if I didn't have Terrans all over me. Go away. No. Just explode now, please.
Let's see.
Appreciate the explosion. Not another portal, I just closed one. Go away. I said go away.
It's not here. There's no rift here. Hush up. Let's see. Blah 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 blah.
Is Mr. Spielberg up to these days?
Let's see. 92, 98. He's got a huge thing here. Up to present. Recent work. This is
oh my goodness, he was executive producer on the Dial of Destiny Indiana Jones film.
Yeah. You'll have issues. Let's see.
I can see why he wasn't the director of it, because he made it so bad.
In February 2025, Spielberg began shooting on his next as-yet untitled film reportedly about UFOs. The screenplay was written by David Coop, based on an original idea from Spielberg, with Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, Coleman Domingo, Colin Firth, and Eve Hewson. Release in May of 2026.
Well, the names attached to it, crikey.
I am having a heck of a time getting
funny that a lot of his films, when he was executive producer, don't go above 6.5 rating overall.
Well, executive producer basically is you put money into it. I reply all caps. Just so you know, we are live. We are in game.
Thank you. Thank you. I just had a question.
Yeah.
I heard about an internet crash to where many users could not have service. Did this affect Star Trek Online?
No, it did not. But it affected a lot of players. It was an AWS. Was it a DDS? Does anybody know if it was directed or was just a...
Worse than that. It just happened. Probably there was a malfunction.
Yes, so there was an issue with Amazon Web Services, so a lot of companies were affected who use AWS, because a lot of people do. It affected a lot of businesses, insurance companies, things like that. Most had some kind of backup, but I know companies like Epic got hit pretty hard. And
If you don't do backups, that's what happens.
Service was down, depending on where you're at in your recovery, for I think like 6 to 8 hours.
I think Stone never used AWS infrastructure in the first place. They had their own data center.
Yeah, we use AWS, but we had some back when I was working. But our backups were good, so when there was issues, we weren't affected. But yeah, everything should be pretty much back to normal. And for the most part, Stowe players, unless their systems were tied to AWS, weren't affected.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody had issues with Steam, though, because Arc wasn't affected.
Not really, no.
Okay, so it wasn't Steam or Arc having a problem. Epic,
Some
yes.
individual games that might have their infrastructure based on AWS, but that's just individual titles, not like the whole platform or anything like it.
But across the board,
like Xbox is using Azure, which is their own, so that's a big problem.
So it really came down to what products you were using and how they were doing things, rather than it was an attack across the board. It was like when CloudStrike happened. Wasn't it CrowdStrike? CloudStrike, what was the company? Where everybody was using it and CloudStrike didn't have their systems backed up. That was a fun day. Pardon?
Wait, when did that happen?
Oh, gee, 3 years ago?
Okay.
I was still working for a company and kind of drifted in at 6 in the morning, and my boss was chuckling because we always back up our own stuff.
Oh, okay.
And then he's like, all the airlines went down because they all used it, except for Southwest that was still like on 3.2 or something. It was so old school that it wasn't affected. I just thought that was brilliant.
That's a blessing, right there.
It was, yeah. I mean, I hate Southwest, but dang. Good move on their part.
Welcome to the 80s grid.
Hey. Saved their butt. What are we doing here?
No, I was just curious because I've got the three of Arc, Steam, and Epic. I use them all for Stowe, so I was just thinking.
Yeah, so the Epic did have issues.
Login issues mostly because their data center that revolves around logins, and login information was stored in AWS, and that died. So that was fun. You can log in, you can play your games, you can access Unreal Engine if you're doing anything in it. That's fun.
There we go. Okay.
Well, thanks for letting me
Sure.
know, guys.
Yeah, fortunately it was a temporary issue and didn't go across the board for a lot of things. Thank goodness.
Yeah, because of on YouTube, there's this YouTuber that basically makes like a PlayStation have a face, and you know that kind of content. And he's expressing to where the PlayStation is talking to all the companies to where the logos have faces and explaining the situation, and that's how I found out about it.
Yeah, most people who weren't directly affected weren't aware because it wasn't across the board. That's what got interesting, and most companies have their own backups. So the insurance company that my grandmaster works for, they were aware of the problem. They had a team in to make sure everything was good, but they were fine. They had alternates ready. So most companies who were thinking ahead had prep work ready for it. But if you're using...
day and age, you have to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So this wasn't like a massive.
It wasn't it was not a DDS. It was just a, oh shoot, somebody hit the wrong button, failed to do their job, something along those lines, which is frequently the
Amazon,
issue.
Expected for Amazon.
Yeah.
They marginalize quality and marginalize everything just in favor of profit. And
AWS is generally pretty good is the thing, and this was just, I don't know what happened.
Still, it's Amazon services. They're bound to cut corners anyway.
Well, look what's happening to Twitch lately.
Twitch has a whole bunch of other issues. Twitch, if I had an alternate to Twitch, we'd be doing something besides Twitch.
Yeah, but there isn't an alternative outside of YouTube that isn't really that keen on streaming anyway. YouTube is terrible when it comes to streaming. Like putting YouTube clips and videos, that's fine. You can still do that.
Yeah.
Then it's okay.
I don't
But
use
when it
YouTube
comes
for
to
streaming.
so
Well,
detrimental.
Twitch is facing some major lawsuits, and they just have made some poor choices regarding those lawsuits. It's not going to help them.
Yeah, like what happened to Emaru and stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Feel sorry for her.
Yeah, well, that'll teach you not to go to TwitchCon.
Oh God, I'm glad I don't go to cons because of this reason.
Now, that was horrendous security.
I don't understand. I don't understand how that could have happened.
The whole situation there, no, just horrendous internal communications.
But what about the web? What about the platform Kick? Is that a streaming thing?
It is. Again,
If you want to see a lot of MAGA stuff, then yeah, go
yeah,
ahead,
it's got a whole bunch of political issues, in my opinion.
It's the place you would go when no one else wants to work with you, or you're being constantly taken down because you just can't adhere to certain rules and regulations.
If you get kicked off of Kick, I mean, you're really bad, and they kick a lot of people.
I don't think they really kicked out a lot of people there.
They have, and that tells you how bad that is. So, hell, the issue at TwitchCon was security was pretty poor, so people who go out there who are VTubers, unfortunately, were there masked and were forced to unmask to get in, and sometimes were forced to unmask to go through crowds of people, so their identity was revealed. And some of these people have got restraining orders and other things to protect them, and Twitch dropped the ball, so their security was in peril. Some, they actually had meet and greets that because they miscalculated everything, they were cut way short, so people were waiting in line for hours to meet content creators and weren't able to. They dropped security on a couple issues. Just things like that. Lots of foobars. And this is not the first TwitchCon, so they shouldn't have had these issues. This should all have been handled, or, if there's an issue that comes up, you take them offline, you go behind the scenes and you get things fixed.
Should be on top of the game at this point. This isn't the first TwitchCon that they've done.
Yeah,
and
this is like
really dropped the ball on this one.
This is like, what, the 10th or the 17th? I mean, they've had a lot of them. This is not new.
Got a question though about the masks. These weren't like CV-19 masks. This was like a full, cover your whole head mask.
A lot of people are VTubers, and VTubers can get threats against their lives, so they are obviously using their rig when they're on screen. But when they go to an event, they don't want to be revealed as to who they are in real life.
Honestly, if I was a VTuber that doesn't want to reveal their personality or their face, I would not go to a TwitchCon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But if they want to go, because they meet people and they do get some connections out of it, but that is to an extent an ego thing. But at the same time, these are people who make lots of money for Twitch, so they should want to be protected, and Twitch should want to make sure that they're protected at these events.
Oh, I agree.
That said, I have been to a lot of events, so a lot of times the people who are running staff and security are volunteers. They are not properly trained. They might have had an hour-long discussion, and while they might know security, the concept of going into an event masked is not always safe. So that's why if you go to ones like Star Trek conventions, the personalities, the talent, have different ways to get in there if they need to, like the William Shatner's, Patrick Stewart's, don't go in through the main entrances. They go in other ways. They have separate access, which should have probably been what happened for TwitchCon.
Wait a minute, TwitchCon didn't have that? That should be a standard for all cons.
You would think, but no, generally it's not.
You come on with the common folk, and you have to squeeze through crowds, and you have to be very close. And there was a case where someone assaulted one of the streamers.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
I don't know if she was a VTuber or whatever. I didn't see the event, but if she didn't have her own personal security, that could have ended badly.
Yeah.
And I think they had, Twitch went after her security rather than against that person, and what the hell is wrong here? Yeah, there were issues. There were a lot of issues that Twitch really just effed up to say it politely. But yeah.
So Mr. Dave says, I've been to a Star Trek con, which I think security and staff-wise, even though a lot of it's voluntary, is better done than other ones. But we went to a Comic-Con in Chicago, which was much more basic, and Patrick Stewart was there and William Shatner was there, and they had to walk through the crowds to get to where they were going to be. And I didn't realize they were there until my son's like, oh, there's so-and-so and there's so-and-so. And I'm like, you wouldn't notice it because some of them have learned how to, walk like other people. You wear a hoodie and you kind of walk with your shoulders forward, and you let somebody kind of be in front of you so it's not obvious. But
yeah.
But that's
So
different.
that's actors that have years behind them of
Yeah,
being
exactly.
a celebrity, being a recognizable person. They know how to blend in if they need to, because there is no other way, because of many organizational issues, because they try to be still common people. Like,
Yeah.
they're not the level of Lady Gaga kind of stardom. They're still like actors that just do their job. So
We
they
were-
have to like sometimes blend in, and when they go to vacation or something like that.
And there's also a cultural thing. So I was in England with my friend, and we were having lunch at a pub, and she says, "Don't look, but there's so-and-so sitting behind you." And I started to turn. She goes, "No, we're English. We don't look."
Yeah.
Okay.
That is true. That is so British thing. You are never like if you approach them, you're an American, because British will definitely not do a thing.
Yep. And she's like, "No, you
But
don't look, don't turn, don't do anything. You just keep talking to me."
It's just kind of like
I love that.
you're learning new culture.
Indeed. Hey, I need to go because it is 7:20 here. I need to go take care of the puppers and hit the gym and do a whole bunch of stuff today. So on behalf of everybody here at Moopsy in the Morning, have a wonderful day and stay Moopsy.
Who are you? We are the knights who say...
Moopsy.
See, and no musing to finish that up. So this one's short, sweet, to the point. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. I'm not going to be on tonight. Oh, hold on. Cliff said, when I saw Leonard Nimoy at the London Comic Con, he had walked through the crowd to leave. Yep. I can imagine. I can imagine what that was like. Nice guy, by the way. Got to meet him a couple of times. Anyway.
Those documentaries are great.
Yeah. I will talk to you all later. Take care.